welcome back to the channel. It's your girl SJ here
with Jax. How you guys doing tonight?
Woo! Hope y'all doing good. All right, so we had to come back because I actually got a lot of comments from my Snapchat people about this video, and a lot of concern about suicide prevention and things like that. So what I think is good is that we came up with a part 2. So I'm going to let Jax work with you all on seeing what it triggered.
All right, guys. So this is Jax. I'd like to introduce somebody very special, Miss Monet.
Hello, everybody.
She's also the one who did my hair and who has been doing my hair for the duration of the time I've been here. And her daughter actually put them up into the bones, or to the buns, she helped.
Princess Leia buns.
Yes, they look dope. So yesterday was my 3rd year anniversary of my suicide attempt, and over the years I've made it a mission to just get more Black mental illness out there, or Black mental disorder, emotional illnesses, and make Black people speak up in remembrance of my grandmother who committed suicide, my maternal grandmother who committed suicide, and I just want to get that out there, that it is all right to talk about this sort of thing. So after, you go ahead and explain it from this point out. Go for it.
Well, again, like you said, it's okay to talk about it, because honestly, there's probably 2 people that know about my situation. I've never really talked about it or been open about it with people, but it's also been about 3 years as well for mine, and mine stemmed all behind a relationship that was basically pretty much really toxic in the end. So that's kind of where mine stemmed from. I ended up getting pregnant, and I think I was almost 5 months pregnant, and the guy, he was basically caught the eye of someone else, and so he was basically entertaining another woman. And so basically he had came to me and was like, well, I don't want you to be pregnant anymore. And so of course, when you're stressed out and everything, I ended up having a miscarriage, and I ended up losing the baby. So behind me losing the baby, because he was still, at this point, my baby was a fetus, so I had to go through the whole funeral thing. I had to get him cremated. It was a lot for a person to deal with, and so dealing with that, and then on top of my relationship and the problems that I was having in my relationship, I just honestly kind of felt that was the only way out, basically. And the day that I decided to do it, I had been up all night. Did not get any sleep, and I was just sitting on my couch, and I remember I just had a bunch of pills, and I was just like, it's I can't anymore, And so I started to take the pills, and I was taking them I wasn't taking one by one. I was taking a lot at a time, and of course I'm not paying attention to the time, and it was a time that my son had to get up for school. Mm-hmm. And he walked in on me. And so when I kind of seen him, I don't kind of think he knew at that point what was happening and what I was doing. That there in itself made me think, I can't do this. I can't, go through with this, because I do have 2 other children that I have to be here for, And so the look on his face, it was just like, yeah, I can't do this. So what I did is I called my sister. I told her what happened. She came to my house and got the kids for me, and then I went to the hospital to, make sure that everything was okay, and make sure that, they can get that stuff out of me. But when you feel like that is your last resort as far as you taking your life, reach out to someone, because I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't speak to anybody about my issues that I was going through. I didn't do any of that. I just kind of felt like I don't want anybody to know my business. I don't want anybody to say anything about it. I don't want anybody to be rude or, whatever. And so that's why I kept it to myself. And that's why I honestly think that I was so depressed because I wasn't talking to anybody. I was keeping everything in. And the one person that I thought, was there for me and would never do that to me did. So I couldn't go to him. So I honestly kind of felt that that was my last resort, even just with everything that was going on, I honestly felt like, yeah, I can't anymore, and it honestly sucked. I and then when you do, like, okay, when I did, somehow someone told my mom about it, and she wasn't really, what's the word, she wasn't compassionate to the situation. She wasn't really caring about the situation. She just kind of was like, well, what do you think? What'd you go and do that for? And it's
Yeah.
kind of like, that's why I don't talk to people about this. That's why I didn't talk to you about my problems, because of that reaction right there. So, but if that is the case with you and you have that type of, person in your life that isn't being compassionate to your situation, you need to reach out to someone else, because there's always somebody that is either a ear just to listen to or whatever. You need to reach out and get that help, because there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Please believe me when I say that. It is not always just darkness. It isn't. And especially if there is others that are in your life that do care about you, which, because a lot of times when we are going through that, we honestly feel that we don't have anybody else. But and then when some people do hear about it, they're like, well, why didn't you call me, or why didn't you ask, or and it's like, sometimes you just have to talk to people that you probably usually don't talk to, because I know there's people in families that don't talk all the time, but sometimes you have to just reach out to someone and just get that out, because it's 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 not fun being in that situation alone. It isn't. It really isn't. So if anybody is suffering from depression or abuse, anything, reach out to someone and get help, because I kind of feel if we were to have been successful with that, that wouldn't have, our problems would have been ending, but everybody else's that we left behind would have been just beginning. You know, my kids, who would have took my children if I would have been successful with that? What, I'm pretty sure my mom would have been hurt. My sisters, they would have been hurt. It's more to, just us here in the physical world. When we leave, there's other people here that, are gonna grieve for us. And so when we're doing it, like I said, we're ending our problems, but we're starting other problems for other people. Because then it could be people that are kind of may have that guilty feeling, like, oh, I should have known, I should have did this, or I
Yeah.
should have done that. So just reach out and just be honest, sometimes, because like I said, this is the very first time I have ever talked about this openly to anybody. Yes, there was in the only reason that, like I said, my mom knew about it is because my sister told, but I felt that I needed to tell somebody, because I needed to at least have somebody to take my kids from that point. Because if there was something to happen or go wrong, then she knew what was going on. So, um, just try to reach out and get that help, because again, there is always light at that other, at the end of the tunnel. It really is. So, I mean, if there's any questions or anything that anybody has, you can honestly feel free to ask whatever it is you feel that you need to ask. Go ahead and ask the question. But I'm glad that I'm still here to be here with my kids, and I'm glad that I can talk about it, because it was a point that I couldn't, because I was that person that cared about what everybody thought and what everybody thinks, and what are they gonna say if I tell them, So I used to be that person, but at this point, it's like I don't care, it needs to be said. So if anybody is suffering through that, reach out to someone and get help. Like, that's, because you're a lot of people think that they're not wanted or they're not loved, and I'm here to tell you, yes, you're loved. I don't know you personally.
Yes.
I don't know you, but I love you. So if anybody is needs that ear or that shoulder, just reach out to somebody that you feel is going to be that for you. So thank you for
Thank you for sharing that. Like, thank you
no
for
problem.
sharing it.
No
Like,
problem.
I was like really touched when Auntie Sean was like, okay, well, Monet wants to do it. I'm just like,
Yeah.
what really? Because it really is, I hate to say it, but it really is always like the last ones you expect. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like, and I was
Yeah.
really happy about it because
Yeah.
as much, a lot of people just don't know is that the strong black stereotype is killing us. It is so
Oh, yeah.
toxic.
It is.
It's just
It
like
is.
we're not allowed to talk about like how we're
Yes.
feeling, especially not about
Yes.
mental illness because,
Right.
especially not around our
And-
elders and peers
Right.
because it's just like,
And then too, a lot of times with that,
mhm.
Black people will try to say that, well, it's not mental illness. It's you're crazy.
You're crazy. You're this. You're that. Like no, like
that's not what it is.
that's not what it is. It's just like, and unfortunately, I feel like for the older generations who really just try and deny, it would mean having to take a step back and say, okay, well, they got this from someplace.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's why I think
Mhm.
it just, like I said, I'll be perfectly honest with you, it really fucked me up when I had to figure out on my own that my grandmother had committed suicide. Nothing
Mhm.
made sense to me.
Yeah.
Nothing made sense to me
Yeah.
about her story. It was
A
just
lot
like,
of times people believe in that, what happens in my house stays in my house,
Yes.
and
Yes.
they don't like to speak on a lot of things. And that's why sometimes a lot of people are just left in the dark on situations because older people have that mentality. What stays here is, what happens here stays here.
Yes.
And we're not going to talk about it,
Mhm.
but that's why I talk with my kids, about stuff because I remember it was a time when my daughter would hit herself.
Mhm.
I've caught her doing that like many times. Like I remember she had gotten disciplined from her grandpa, my dad.
Mhm.
He had disciplined her, and I had walked in on it, like kind of on the end of it, and I just seen her hitting herself, and I'm like, and I had to pull her to the side, and I had to talk to her, because like I said, when you sit down and talk to your kids and let them know, this is what this is, and just actually talk to them, that gives them a better understanding on things. So I had to tell her because in that situation, my dad was wrong for what he did and how he disciplined her, and I had to tell her that it's not your fault. You don't need to hit yourself.
Yeah.
Like I understand you get upset and stuff, but you don't need to harm yourself.
You don't need to harm yourself because of it. Yeah.
because
And
you're upset.
to be honest with you, like if that kind of behavior, like point blank, is not checked early, it can progress into things like case in point. I was a full-fledged self-harmer. Like I used to cut, I used to burn, just like the whole 9 yards. Like you always want to. There's always this need to punish yourself.
Yeah.
And what I don't think that a lot of Black families understand is by not talking about it, you are putting an enormous burden on that child. Like half of the reason I was so desperate to commit suicide was because I'm just like, oh my god, I'm nothing but a toxic person. I've hurt nobody. I've hurt everybody in my path. Like like I burn everything I touch. I used to blame the fact my mother had her brain aneurysm and then 2 strokes because of me. I used to put that all on me because that's something my aunt had told me. It was the stress of taking care of you guys, and I'm just like, well, shit. Now I feel like if I had never been born, like it's a snowball effect. It's so toxic, but we don't have anybody telling us that's not the case. We have to figure that out for ourselves, and it can really just it can cripple us. So that's why I'm honestly like just like glad that you're a mother because like now that I am trying to take a step forward into going into motherhood, I up until like maybe 8 months ago, I was getting ready to get my tubes tied for my 30th birthday because I was so afraid of becoming a mother. I'm like, what if I can't do this to my child? What if I'm like the same angry, abusive? I grew up in a very abusive household. Like,
and that's
like
the thing. One thing
violent.
that when you, as a parent, that is the first thing I believe that women that have been in that, kind of situation. Because when I was a kid, my mom was a drug addict, and me and my sisters had to go live in foster care, and as a parent, that was the first thing I said. I will never ever have my children be in foster care because of a decision I made. So and yes, I understand things happen. But if you love your children and and you want the best for them, you're gonna try your damnedest to do whatever that is to make sure that they want for nothing, need for nothing, and because like I said, I would never want my kids to ever go
Same.
through that, you know.
Same.
And so that's why, like, I talk to my kids. When my daughter this was last year, my daughter, I had to change her schools last year because she was being bullied so bad.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
she had it was two incidents that happened in which I honestly thought was so silly because I was not contacted by the school at all. It was an episode where a little boy stabbed my daughter in the back with a pencil, and I didn't know it until she got home and I seen the blood on the back of her shirt. Then the second incident, when my daughter tried to stand up for herself to the same little boy that stabbed her, she tripped the little boy, and the little boy hit his head and busted his head. It was literally almost 12 kids that tried to jump on my daughter for that. And my daughter did a YouTube video about bullying, and I didn't sit in with her. I let her do what she wanted to do and say what she needed to say. And I feel like, again, when you talk about it, it makes things a little bit better, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, but because if I was just to allow that to go on and just say and keep her in that school, because kids these days are harsh.
They are.
And
Yeah.
there are
They're
more
cruel.
children committing suicide.
Yes.
Every
Single
day.
Every single day. But like, it's something that parents are just like, oh, well, you know what? Especially black parents. It's just especially black parents. You can't talk about that shit around like a black family. It's just like, I'm listening to your story because like it was the same with me. I was tormented like to the point where I'm thinking of suicide ages 9, 10, 11. Like I can't deal with this anymore. Like so like that's so fucking heartbreaking. It's just like, and I'll tell you, like, to be honest, if you don't think that kids can be cruel, listen to this. This is a true fucking story. This is a true fucking story, and it fucked me up for the rest of my life. I was in middle school. I was in 6th or 7th grade, and I have dyscalculia, which is pretty much dyslexia's evil twin sister, but for math. Like I function at a maybe 1st grade math level, like even to this day. And so I had a tutor.
Yeah.
And he was wonderful. And finally, I'm starting to understand now. This because I have what's called an IEP, and that's for people who need a little. Essentially, it's what you would give people who are in special education. Like if I were to roll back in school, I would have that with. So that means I get extra time on tests. That means I get to use calculators. That means I get all of these things kind of even the score for me. But at the same time, it's just like it's severe. It's extremely severe, and so I've always struggled with it. So I had a tutor. They had brought in a personalized tutor for me, and I'd leave my classroom every day, and I'd go sit with him for about an hour, and then come back. But because I always hated math, I'd always be like, and see, that's exactly how I know, because I'm about to victim blame myself for this, because I always feel like, oh my god, like but I was so close. He was like, because I've always been terrified of men. Yeah, I have been scared shitless of men, especially black men.
I have too. Like I would always get, and even with my dad, like I'd be uncomfortable. Just like if he was taking me home, I'd just be like really uncomfortable.
You don't
and
know
I never
where
understood
it comes
that.
from.
Yeah,
you don't know where it comes from, but it's just like, but it's like you know where it comes from, but you don't know where it comes from. But at the same time, like I really did adore this tutor. He was a great guy, and like because I didn't have a father figure like coming up and stuff like that. It was just like So of course, like I really grafted him because one, I was understanding math. Like that was a miracle for me. Yeah. And then I'll never fucking forget it because I mean, like just because I was tall, lanky, etc. like that, and I always stood up because I always quote unquote talk like a white girl. I was into comics and anime and video games. Like I was like worshiping Kurt Cobain, and they were like all up into B2K and stuff like that. So I'm just like. And so one day when I was sitting at lunch, as I was wanting to by myself, because I'm just like, I cannot deal with this. I spent my recesses writing or just spending as much time away from them as possible. Yeah. Because it was just like, why bother? So I was sitting and eating lunch, and these 3 girls, they were kind of like, the cat pack like of our lives. I mean, like they've all like obviously grown up, like now, like we've even like cleared things up. Yeah. But they sat down, and I mean just 1, 2, 3, and I'll never forget it, like in pack formation. Oh no. And they were just like, is he molesting you, Jackie?
Oh my gosh.
Now, mind you, I was in 6th fucking grade. These are 11 to 12-year-olds asking this question. 11, 12, 13-year-olds asking this question. Oh my. This is a true fucking story. And I literally, and I'm pretty sure that was the very first time that I think I actually swore because I was just like, are you fucking crazy? Like, I was so shocked. Like, and then I left it at that. Lo and fucking behold, I was so, because I just didn't know how to process that. Yeah. And I didn't want him to get in trouble, so I thought I was doing him a favor by going to one of the teachers and saying, listen, if these girls say this, it's not true. And it wasn't true. Yeah. The one man, like one of the few men in my life I've ever not been afraid of. Yeah. And after that, she was just like, all right, no problem, just go back to class. And the next, like just, it had to have been like hours later, I'm called into a fucking conference. Oh no. their parents are there. My parents are like my mom is
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
and I'm just like,
Oh no.
how did this even happen? So of
Oh,
course the
no.
girls got suspended. We were on the basketball team too. So of course, I mean, this was like the big three. These were the
Yeah.
these were. I mean, we were a very small school to begin with.
Oh
like,
my god.
so it was like even worse. So it's like everybody, you know, I'll never forget this. It was just like nobody would talk to me. It was like I'm like, why did I do this? And a good man lost his fucking job. And that just was like one of the breaking points for me. It's just like, you don't think the kids are out here being cruel. They are being cruel. Okay, that's not 16, 17, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old bullshit. These are children being cruel to other children, okay?
Yeah.
And the effects can be damaging and long lasting. So, like I said, and just to touch upon, like, just the whole fear of, like, men, like, just because, like, I'll be perfectly honest with you, like, I don't trust any of the men, like, in my family because, like, the men in our family are perverts. Point blank. As a matter of fact, Uncle Brent is the only man I've never been afraid of. He is a good man, so I definitely say that, and I'm just like he's like my second father. He's the only man who never like ever made me feel like I was unsafe, which is why he's walking me down the aisle, But him, Corey, and my maternal grandmother's husband, my grandfather. So it's just like I said, like long story short, it really does get better, but understand that especially in the Black community, talk about this. Please talk about this. Like,
it's not gonna make you a crazy person. It's not gonna make you weak, or it's not gonna do any of that. Because a lot of times when we do try to talk about something, there is that one person who will sit and say something extremely ignorant out their mouth, and just don't even pay them any attention. Just continue to talk about it. If you need to find somebody else to talk about, then you do that, because it needs to get out, instead of you just sitting there letting that feeling just grow, and you just really need to get out and talk to someone about it. And they have numbers that you can call just to talk to people, and that is just something that is definitely recommended if you are feeling suicidal, or feeling depressed or any of that, because depression can lead to suicide.
Yes, 100%.
So
yes.
Honestly, talk to someone about it. You really should talk to someone about it.
And learn to look for the signs, especially in early childhood, like, because with Black families, it's usually just like, oh well, she has an extremely bad attitude, oh she's a hoe because she's sleeping with all these other different boys and stuff like that, or she's doing this, that, and the third, well, she just got a bad attitude, like beat it out of her or something like that. Like, no, like something happened. Like, try and understand. Like I said, like one of my biggest concerns, like I'm just looking at the baby right now, 'cause, like I'm just like, one of my biggest concerns of being a mother is I don't want to be always constantly screaming and yelling at my children. I don't want that environment. Like, I never want my kids to feel like they are afraid of me. Like, I want my kids to be able to talk to me. Because, like, to be perfectly honest with you, there's never not been a day where I have not been terrified of, like, my parents. Like, especially my father. Like, it got really, really bad. Like, it was nothing sexual abuse, but I mean, like, it was just like, let's just put it this way. For the longest time, I didn't think that was my father, because I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that a father would actually do this shit to his child.
Yeah.
Like, and plus I don't look so much like him. I look everything like my mother. All of his children look just like him. I look everything like my mom.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's another entirely different video to unpack. But like I said, like, learn to look for the signs. Like, even in like day-to-day life, learn to look for the signs. Like, especially checking on your strong friends, the ones who are always making you laugh and like nothing is going wrong in their lives, and da da da. Check in on them if they are making you laugh. And you think, oh my God, their lives are going perfect. Fucking check in on them.
Yes.
Check in on them.
That's mainly a lot of the times when people are depressed, they do walk around with smiles on their face, and when they're around people, but when they're behind closed doors and alone, that's that can be extremely dangerous, because again, people get into their thoughts and everything when they're alone, and a lot of times, and this is women, a lot of times we overthink. We really do, so just again, just if you feel that you are having those symptoms, and you see the signs, again, like she said, check in on the people, check on them, because again, that it can get bad. It really can.
I can guarantee you, like any of these thoughts they're having, like they can become very abusive. Like
Oh yeah.
they can become violently abusive. They will like destroy you. So like talk to people. Like there's going to be resources. Like we're obviously recording right now. By the time you guys see this, will be edited. But there should be like numbers and stuff that you can like reach out to. You know, and like I said, like hit me up. I honestly didn't expect somebody to hit me up when I said hit me up. Like they don't like talk about like, are you serious? Like it was just like it was empowering. Like so. Please, like,
and you guys can
keep talking about it. Yes,
please,
as well. Please.
Yes.
Like, I mean, like, is it okay if people find you on social media? Or
Yeah, sure.
Like,
yeah.
What is your Instagram, your Twitter, if you have
I
one?
will put it
Facebook?
down in the description bar.
Yes.
My Instagram and I believe my Snapchat are two different things. So,
okay.
Yes, but I will definitely leave that down in the description bar for you guys.
Please know, like, it gets better. Like we are recording this. We are actually recording this like after like an incredibly like I'm moving away party and everybody got together. This is actually the very first time anybody has done that for me. I've grown so much as a person. I'm so grateful. I didn't think that I would ever get this. I didn't think that I deserved this, and it feels amazing. So like it does get better. It gets better. Yes. Like it really does. Especially black girls, black women, black femmes, like black non-men. Like I'm talking to all of you. Just it gets keep strong. It gets better. Like it gets better, and please keep talking about it. Please keep talking about it. Please keep talking about it. Like get loud. Like you know what? Take that loud, angry black woman stereotype and show them why you are a loud and angry quote unquote black. Just do that. Like just do that because I mean that's just like that's how it's been working for me. Like this is why I'm fucking angry. I didn't just wake up one day and I'm fucking angry. Yeah. Like so
there are reasons.
There are reasons. It's a process. It's And so you guys take care of each other. I mean, is there anything else that you wanted to add or?
I just really again want to just say, even though I've never met any of you that are tuning into this, I love you guys.
Yeah, same.
If you guys have not heard that today, because sometimes I feel those 3 words can mean so much to somebody.
Yes.
If somebody is having a horrible day or if they are going through so much, those 3 words can mean a lot to somebody. It can go a long way for somebody that is going through a lot in their life. So I love you guys, and I just want you guys to know it gets better. And again, I will put my contact information down below for my social media accounts, and if any of you want to reach out to me, feel free to do that. And I will answer any of your questions. Or even if you just want to vent, I can be here for you.
Yes.
Just whatever. So yes, thank you guys for tuning into our video.
Thank you guys so much. Like we really appreciate it. Like I said, all of our information will be down there in the description. This has been another Real Beauty, Real Food, Real Life. Take care of each other, guys.
Bye, guys.
Take care.